This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
At all. Bros merges Xavier Scott on a gun run, heads to the right side across the line of scrimmage to the 35, and he will bounce off a Charger nicely. That's a gain of 10 yards and a Vikings first down. We're now down to 10 seconds to go in the game, and that's going to be us. The Vikings won't run another play. They're going to hoist the white flag. And the LA Chargers improve to 5-3. The Minnesota Vikings drop to 3-4 after losing 37-10 to the LA Chargers.
That from last night at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. That voice, should be familiar. It's the host of 9 to Noon. And he has found his way into the familiar confines of the 651 Carpets Plus studios. How was the travel back, man?
That end game highlight was like me asking you, saying, "Will you talk dirty to me?" And then you play something like that. I mean, because that was just, it was a dirty situation last night from all angles. And you know, when you endure a season through 7 games, and this is en route to becoming a bastard season. I mean, this thing is bastardized at this stage of the equation. Now they're going to get some people back for the Lions game, but they're going to get some people back for the Lions game. It's still the Detroit Lions, but the bastardization of the awkward nature of this 2025 Minnesota Vikings season took a turn last night, where each and every game things are taking a turn where I just, and this doesn't mean like I'm Newt Rockney elite football mind, but I mean, I see coming zero. I mean, it was Kamani Vidal last night. Yep. And Trey Harris had his first receiving touchdown. All right. He's a rookie and maybe they like him, but Kamani Vidal, the Troy State running back, going for 117 a week after you hold Saquon Barkley's overall game to what you hold it to, but then 2 receivers get loose for more than 100. And that is a game removed from Cleveland almost beating you, and Judkins putting up good numbers, but he's supposed to do that. And then you get back to Kenneth Gainwell. I think he went for 114 on the ground or something like that.
It was 99, but it was daggers all day.
It was the best game of his career.
Yes.
And it was the best game of Kamani Vidal's career, and it was the best game of this guy's career, and first time Jalen Hurts has done this, and first time this guy has done that. It's just a lot of firsts are flying in the face of the Vikings right now, and they're not the first to endure things like this. However, they can't stop so much right now. They can't get out of their own way with the running game, no matter what iteration of the offensive line is being used. They can't get themselves to take Carson Wentz out of the game when he's grimacing and wincing. And of course, he's going to say, yes, I want to stay in the game, because that's how all of them are wired. Right. And they can't get themselves to do it. They can't get themselves to stop the pass, and then somebody they stop the pass and somebody runs on them for large chunks. And it's the weaving trick up the middle by the Patterson cat who just came up off the practice squad. And Herbert's a really, really good runner. And we all knew that into the game. And, fantasy football people, I'm sure, look at his numbers and follow it rather closely. But it's the way he sets up the run. All right, well, you got us. Okay, you got us. Hey, that was nice too. But then the next 6, you're supposed to stop. Vidal weaves his way for 3 yards, but then it ends up being 8, or it ends up being 11. All right, cool. You get to make plays too. Hey, that was a good one too. But the next 6, we stop. That's just, none of that is happening. And it's malfunction junction all over the place for this football team right now. And I heard you say something on Fan Line last night while I was sitting on the bus waiting to go to the airport. And I think you phrased it like Kevin O'Connell for the first time in his career here, is facing true adversity. And you said it like that, right?
Yeah, and I acknowledge
significant adversity or
2023, and I know what that was. But
this is different. I think you're right.
This is an entirely different universe, man. With everything, the buildup, and then now what you're seeing here. I mean, I just picture it. How excited this coach has been, and all the ups and downs. The initial injury with McCarthy, but how excited he was to unveil the 10th overall pick and put McCarthy in that spot Monday night at Soldier Field with the work that they did to complement him front side of the O-line. We talked about that. Hargrave and Allen, all the new faces. Isaiah Rodgers, we get all the bits.
Yeah.
How excited he was and what that looked like, what that felt like all through camp and trials and tribulations to be certain. But now 7 games into it. 16, 17 combinations of the offensive line. People wondering when Van Ginkel's next going to be okay. The injuries in other spots. Are we getting enough out of that defensive interior at this stage? The 17th overall pick from a couple years ago. What's up with that in complement to the pass rush?
Right.
Grenard working harder than he's ever worked before, it feels like, in his life. I mean, how good has he been, and what kind of mountains is this cat climbing on just to replicate some of the pressure and the force he provided a year ago, man? And just nothing is working right now. And I just, that's how I framed it up. For the first time in his coaching career, PA, I'm seeing the coach deal with some of the nastiest adversity and just kind of how he deals with that, not just coming back from LA last night, but moving forward, man. The schedule does not get any easier.
Right, but it's such a wide-ranging situation due to the injuries that when you feel you have something squared away, and this is just the announcer talking, viewing it from afar, certainly not talking for the coach or the team, but when you feel you get something going your way, something else goes wrong. And it doesn't go wrong in small or moderate fashion. It's floodgates open.
Yeah.
And it's hide women and children. And it's for long periods of games. You know, I don't know how often we've heard Kevin after games say that I did not have the team prepared. All right, and I'm not going to go through all the post-game press conferences after losses, like the Dallas loss. I think it was in 2022. They lose like 40-3.
Oh yeah, Tony Pollard though.
It would have been like something like a game like that. You know, that's where you would hear things like that. But it's you know, we adore and respect, and at least I. And I think you too are happy that Kevin O'Connell's head coach of the Minnesota Vikings because of openness and vulnerability like that.
I love KO.
But
absolutely.
You can't play that card too often. Okay. And he played it last night. Now I'm not going to say whether he had them prepared or not. And I know over the course of time, coaches will say things like that so that they take the hits and they take the arrows and keep them away from their assistant coaches and or players. But you whether you just got an extended deal worth how much ever money, who cares? You can't play that card frequently because it starts to resonate with the team.
Yeah.
Now, there are a lot of things resonating with the fan base. And if you say, I didn't have the team prepared properly for this game, you know, whether it's fan line or whether it's 64686, you may get some people coming in saying, well, what does that mean? Why? This is what your job is to do. You say they weren't prepared and they got killed. All right. You know, again, just think about that. You can't do that many times. And he played that yesterday. Now, see, that's born of desperation. That's born of not dart throwing because they put too much time into it. It's born of, I understand how much pain the quarterback was in. The other guy has taken 0 reps with the first team for X amount of weeks. And by the way, you know, do I want to, or do you want to see this other quarterback with what we're seeing now with everything that's around us? And it's not even a true situation for Brosmer, because when you're down multiple scores, 3 scores or more, you're not going to run. I mean, coaches just don't say like, all right, well, we're down 21 points and there are 10 minutes to go, so we're just going to throw the game away and We're going to put Aaron Jones back in, and we're going to see if Darisaw wants to come back in, and we're just going to play it with a run, like a normal running game out of the first quarter, set up the pass, set up the play action, all of that. There wasn't really much benefit to that last evening outside of the self-preservation of the quarterback. And I do think that is fair for talking about Carson Wentz and the clear pain that he was in. But they're not even scoring touchdowns right. That's how bastard this thing is right now. Addison got loose, okay, for the only touchdown. But Isaiah Rodgers, touchdown. No, it's not. Jordan Mason, out at the one. No, touchdown. Hawkinson, wow, how about this? No, not a touchdown. I mean, that's not even going right now.
Yeah.
It's multifaceted. It's a complete malfunction right now. And I know Riker, barely ever misses. Ryan Wright's having the best season of his career. There are good things that you can find. So it's not like starting with Ivan Pace Jr. down to Elijah Williams and saying L. It's not like that. But in the ultimate team game, when 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 fail, they all fail.
Yep.
And it's like Metellus has 2 interceptions this year. Okay. Now Jalen Redmond. Now, watch.
He's been a bright spot.
If we were to watch back everything Jalen Redmond has done, we probably will see him whiff on some tackles.
Oh, yeah.
We probably will see him slip sometime or take a bad angle on somebody, over the course of X amount of plays during the course of the year. But yeah, that sticks out as something in the ultimate team game that is working quite well. Well, when I say on the broadcast, like I did last night several times, Jalen Redmond is this team's best defensive lineman, we're not supposed to say that. And really, we're not. With all due respect to Jalen, I'm quite fond of him, too, and I love his story. Coming out of nowhere, he had a blood clot issue. His whole career looked like it was over. Now look at him. He leads the team in sacks, and he's better than Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen.
He's all effort and energy.
So when like you said, last night, it resonated with me when I was listening to Fanline that this is the first true adversity Kevin O'Connell has faced. And I agree with you. Because with Cousins going down at Lambeau, and then you trade for Dobbs, and then you try Jaron Hall, and Mullins can go for 400, but he might throw it away at the end of the game. That whole thing right there, 4 quarterbacks for an offensive-minded coach, that's not preferred, but nevertheless, there were moments that looked like what we come to expect with this regime. I said it last week, and there's nothing from last night. Outside of the fourth quarter at Soldier Field, well, I said it, last week to you. Outside of the fourth quarter at Soldier Field, the aberration that was the Bengals game. Beating the Bengals is not of the aberration variety. The whole game was an aberration when it turns out like that. So fourth quarter Soldier Field, Cincinnati game, and the Addison drive at Tottenham Hotspur. That's it.
That's it.
That right there, where does it have to be exactly like last year? No. But last year, things would be stuck and punt. And then, that was close. Now they're punting. Hey, now we're punting. Back and forth a little bit, like boxers feeling out each other in the early rounds. And then Van Ginkel would pick off a pass and get to the house. Or Grenard would get a tackle for loss on 3rd and 1, and they would be punting, and the crowd would go nuts. Or Jefferson would be running free between the hash marks, and Addison would be scoring 10 touchdowns, and Naylor would emerge with a bunch of touchdowns early in the season while they waited for a receiver. There's just none of that. Yeah. That I think plays into, and then the coach puts the bow on what you said before you said it, when he said, I did not have the team prepared. So it's a bastard season. It's just abnormal from what we're used to. And I think more goes into it than just not, being able to use McCarthy or not having Van Ginkel. I just think there's more to it when something like last night happens.
Yeah.
And I don't exactly know what that more would be. But when you get run on the way they got run on last night by that Chargers team, And they got Joe Alt back, and that helped. Joe's really, really good. But they had replacements at right guard, and the right tackle started like 3 games. So, I mean, it's not like the Manhattan Beach Moving Company is making the old school Dallas Cowboys with Larry Allen blush.
Tackling and physicality, I think, were an issue last night.
And physicality was a major issue in the Falcons game.
Yes, it was.
I mean, where the Falcons came out and just started punching. All right, so, but see, there was a correction. The next week, it was the Bengals who got punched and waylaid and roundhouses and uppercuts, and down goes Cincinnati. We're getting punched and either not throwing back, not throwing punches back, or they're missing, and it's just very sullen right now.
It is, and so many angles playing into this. I agree. It goes beyond just. I mean, I'm watching Wentz getting peeled off the turf last night, and I'm just thinking it's time for this experience to end for him. He's an Iron Man, Covenant claps, like loving the warrior that he has been. But my goodness, for his own sake, we need to save him from himself here.
And quite honestly, and again, I'm certainly not speaking for anybody involved with this team. This is my opinion, and it involves somebody of whom I'm very fond, Kevin O'Connell. I'm shocked that at some point of the fourth quarter, Max Brosmer didn't come into the game.
I'm shocked as well.
And it's because every blade of grass and we've got to take every single inch we can get. That mentality is age old in the National Football League. And perhaps it has to be that way, or you lose your edge and you get hurt or you get bludgeoned. But you probably saw more on television than I did. But I mean, I had my binoculars on Wentz a lot when he threw his helmet.
Well, you needed your binocs from the freaking parking lot you were trying to call the game from.
Yeah, SoFi's quickly becoming one of my least favorite places to call games, but there are other reasons for that. But nevertheless, and all the action was on the other side of the field, but that's cool. But it's just for self-preservation of the man. Where after the game, when O'Connell's asked about McCarthy, same answer from Kevin. We want to play him, we like him, and we want to have him get a full week of practice. That's not only important to Kevin, but a lot of teams when it comes to the quarterback they're going to use is getting them together with the first team and having a full week of practice. And with Max Brosmer, that's not the case, and it's never the case.
Shanahan, by the way, as a quick aside, doing the exact same thing with Purdy and the toe out in the Bay right now.
What's that mean?
Well, it's been a lot of people thinking Purdy can go out there. Trials and tribulations with Mac Jones, but Purdy can probably go, and Shanahan very committed to he's going to be back on the field when he's 100%.
Yeah, but see, that there also is discretion being the better part of valor, where you may recognize we're not going to, and they never want to think this or say this, we're not going to win this game. And this guy's arm might fall off. So we know Max hasn't done anything with anybody who's in the game or whatever, outside of the scout team, but he just has to go out there and hand it off for the next 45 minutes of real-time life, or throw some shorties to Xavier Scott, or whatever, just so we can get out of this. Because, and now from a Carson Wentz standpoint, I mean, Carson has been so much better during his career when he's had an opportunity to start than he has been of late.
Yes.
Well, I find myself feeling bad for him, because what's he going to do? Say, no, I don't want to play. Now, there are some who do that, and there are some who will do that. But there are some who do that.
There are.
Believe it or not, at the professional level, making a lot of money. He's not one of them.
No.
So
he's never going to pull himself out.
Never. But there's so much better to his game. And then if he watches it back, he must be looking at that person and saying, hey, this is Halloween. This is Spurgeon Wynn or Josh Dobbs in a Carson Wentz outfit. Ha ha. That's not funny on Halloween, because he's not anything requisite to who he's been. He didn't run last night. I don't think he ran last night. And part of Carson's game is running for first downs, or running to, if they're in man defense and they turn their back on you, run on them. So now they start doing things more the way you want them done. But there were just two things that really hit me hard after that game last night. One, sitting in that press conference room, I was next to Gessling right behind Alec, and when Kevin said, well, there's not really much to talk about here, but I didn't have the team prepared for the game. I can't say I've ever heard him say that. And then listening to Fan Line, you saying that this is the first true adversity that you felt he was facing. And I'm not saying I thought it was hyperbolic, but it caused me to think some things out a little bit. And because the bastard nature of things is so wide ranging, whether it's missed tackles or like we said earlier, got the run defense squared away. Now everybody's going for 100 over the top, trying to run the ball. What do we have? How many runs in the first half? 5?
5.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's that number, obviously, no matter the game shape, is ridiculously low. But I would counter with, well, did you see the runs? And did you see, like the blocks for them? Did you see anybody get to the next level, the linebackers or the safeties, pick somebody off and give somebody a chance? It just wasn't working. It just wasn't working. Okay, so then maybe we'll just keep doing it. Cool. I'm going to keep banging my head against the wall thinking that the different thoughts going to come into my mind the more I do it. So I'm not like mad at that, because if you get mad at that, I got about eight other things nobody's talking about that you need to be mad at too. It's just mad at it. That's what it is. It's just so off right now.
It is.
That they need some time off, and they'll come back, get some players back, and to play the Lions.
Speaking of time off, let's pause, but you triggered something in my head in terms of...
Thanks for letting me talk that out, by the way.
No, that's perfect, man. I'm just glad to see you, and hope you got a couple hours of sleep, and just getting your perspective on... I mean, it was an unmitigated disaster last night, and but you triggered something now as you were talking that I want to hit you with when we return. Devin's got the cash thing. We're going to pause, come back, and just continue to work our way through this. I do see some talkbacks, as I mentioned earlier. Maybe I'll open the segment with, but continuing to lay this all out before we turn the page and open up on a Monday, trying to figure out how we going to beat them Kitties. Looking forward to it. Give them a cash giveaway opportunity, Devin, please.
The Fan and 2 Minute and Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win some bonus bucks with our National Cash Contest. Enter the keyword bank at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword bank. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
Hey, when you hit me yesterday with what was transpiring with Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier and Damon Jones and everything, I had just in walking down from my room to the team meal area and efforting coffee and trying to find a spot at the where we stayed, the JW Marriott LA Live. It's absolutely, I think, the biggest hotel, that A, I've ever stayed at, or B, the team's ever stayed at. So it was a haul to get to places. That's why I was a couple of minutes late. But when I went in there and I saw in the crawl, I'm like, what in the heck is this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, here's the con. I got to run outside.
Yeah, it was very new to you when I mentioned that to you yesterday.
I had no idea. So then then you settle into the day, and, I was in the lobby with Spearfish Sammy, with Vikings Media Relations, Aaron Freeman, with the Timberwolves Media Relations, because the Wolves got in at about 3:15, and they were staying at the hotel that was attached to our hotel at LA Live. So Finchy now comes down. So it's that quartet, and O'Connell wants to meet Finch, and has for a while, and vice versa. Finch said it on the radio the other day. He's never met Kevin. He wants to meet him. So then Kevin came down, and those guys are talking about their sports and stuff like that. And I still didn't know a ton about that story you brought up, but those two did. The head coaches did. And I'm just sitting there listening to them talk, and I'm like, Mafia? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
X-rays, what? Special tables, glasses, what? So, then now we go to the game and we play the game. And I still, last night, while I was listening to Fanline, getting caught up on things, then I started to read the story and read corroborating stories with it about touting LeBron James not playing for somebody who was a, quote, unofficial, end quote, coach. How does one become an unofficial coach with a team?
Dude.
I want to become an unofficial coach with the team. An official coach with the team is somebody who is hired as the coach. You're paid by the team, subsequently by the NBA, and you're in the pension, and you're in the chat. What's an unofficial coach on Darvin Ham's staff? Well, that was sketchy right there. And then somebody who has worked in the gambling world for more than 3 decades, and it's been horse racing, But nevertheless, you know, you know a lot about a lot when it comes to how to play the games, how to beat the games, how to take angles and stuff like that.
I'm sure there have been intel games in the horse racing industry over the course of time.
I'm talking outside of horse racing.
But yeah.
Bro, there was a race probably within 20 or 30 years ago at one of those Louisiana tracks. It wasn't the fairgrounds, but it was one of these bush deep woods Louisiana tracks. I can't remember which one it was. It's a reputable track now. There was a jockey, I think his name was Sylvester Carmouche, and his brother
what a name.
Kendrick, I believe, is still riding and is quite accomplished. Kendrick Carmouche. It was unbelievable, and you can Google this. It was unbelievably foggy one day / night at this racetrack. And it was what's, I think, called a bull ring. It's a smaller track. So Canterbury, you bring Ava, Stella, and Hannah down to the finish line. They start there for a mile, and you go all the way around. Well, that's a mile. Well, some tracks, like one at which I called in Grand Island, Nebraska, Fauner Park, are known as bull rings. So it's 5/8, 5 furlongs, 8 furlongs in a mile. You got to go around twice for a mile. Well, it's like one of those tracks. My man Sylvester Carmouche busted out to the lead, hid in the corner on the far turn.
Oh, come on.
Waited to hear the hoofs of other horses coming and took off and had like a 10-lane. Look at him go! Hang on!
It's a track record.
Yes, and then he got busted for popping out of the fog. So yes, it's happened in horse racing before. But, you know, in other sports, I've just never, you know, when it comes to playing Texas Hold'em or cards or anything, and these special tables and mafia people shaking down people whose names we know from pro sports.
Yeah.
Players who have been on LFL teams owing $250,000 for things that you didn't know about. I've
had Terry Rozier on the old LFL squad.
And Chauncey Billups. I mean, we have a Chauncey Billups drop on our button bar. It's the MMPA is silly, man. Something like that. He was on the sideline of a Vikings-Lions game.
Yeah.
When he played for the Pistons. And so I've known Chauncey a little bit in a roundabout way for a while. I certainly don't know him well enough to say, this is wrong, he's an upstanding citizen, I know it, or he's a complete cheat. I have no idea, and quite honestly couldn't care less. But it's how deep this thing is with the x-rays and the glasses and the marked cards. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's one of those things, and maybe this is, I mean, you know, I'm not bottom of the barrel, I'm not a multimillionaire, but I just think about, like, you look at the amount of money that these players, and now Chauncey Billups is a coach, I think he's making like $5 million as a coach. He definitely, he had to have accrued and eclipsed $100 million as a player. Very good player.
Yep.
How do you get captured by the mafia? That's what because there had to be a hook.
Yeah.
And whether it was, you look at hockey, Evander Kane, I don't know if you remember, but he went bankrupt because of, like, he owed a bunch of casino stuff and ended up getting sued. And then, you know, Jonte Porter at a smaller level, it sounds like he actually may have even potentially been like one of the lower hanging bits as part of this. I think so.
Jeez.
There might be a connection. I don't want to put that out there as being fact. I got to read more. And frankly, I was waiting for more names, and I haven't gotten many of them. But
Shohei Ohtani and his interpreter.
Yeah, how are you?
All right, so the interpreter lays on the sword, and I'm not one to say Ohtani or interpreter guy or lie. I don't know, and I don't care.
Yeah.
But if you just can't think that that's the only thing there.
Correct.
There always is a lot more. It's just a matter of what gets out, and that's all we know. But nevertheless, that was deep and thick.
And that's just what, like, so when I picture the mafia, I picture, you know, the romanticized nature of the movies I've seen and the TV shows, Sopranos, etc. You know, clearly they have to evolve beyond olive oil and waste management services. I get that. So, you know, cell phone bot farms and scams and various things on the internet, et cetera. Nigerian princes, potentially. But, you know, just kind of the idea that Chauncey Billups, an NBA head coach who's got, 9 figures in cash, you know, it's before taxes, and he's making $5 million a year coaching the Blazers, that he's working the hardwood on a Wednesday night, and Thursday morning he's getting yanked because he was luring people into rigged poker games with the adjusted, the shuffling machines. You mentioned these cool glasses. I was watching a video on those things last night.
And contacts.
Man, I mean,
contact lenses.
I could use those at the $10 table at PH. I'll tell you that, because it ain't working for me on the strip these days.
Yeah.
Didn't know that kind of stuff existed. How did these guys get captured? And we'll never know for sure, I suppose, but Terry Rozier, splitting dollars in his living room after, $200,000 in unders were placed on him after he said he'd leave a game early. Mm-hmm. That's just insanity, man. I think he's on the payroll for Miami for $26 million this year. So these guys get captured is crazy.
When you see the name La Cosa Nostra, okay, that's from movies.
Yeah.
It's the Italian term, the Italian phrase that I think means our thing or this thing of ours. All right. La Cosa Nostra is an old age mob term that was used for united families.
Wasn't it like the Five Families of New York or something like that?
Well, yeah. And now I can't remember the names, but I don't know if Gambino was one of the names, but like Banafi or something. It's
Genovese or whatever. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. So there are those families, La Cosa Nostra, who supposedly were behind this. I didn't even know La Casa Nostra was a thing post John Gotti getting busted and Paul Castellanos dying.
That's what I'm thinking. They're not sitting outside the deli anymore.
I know. But with technology and with x-ray machines and with the ability to make special tables that show people's cards and x-ray glasses and x-ray contacts, holy cow, you talk about the mark of the beast. I mean, it is all over the place in a fashion that we have no idea that people even can do certain things.
Yeah, how do they get and then, but you think about, and
at least I don't.
But picture, there's got to be some people that have woken up within the last 2 mornings, seeing this news.
With American Pharaoh's head in their bed right next to them.
And they're thinking, they work for some finance firm or something. They've accrued fat cat real estate guy.
Yeah.
It's well, hang on a second. I dropped $750K to Chauncey at some charity bid 5 years ago.
I didn't think about that.
I know.
Think about those people, the fish that were on the wrong side of the hook.
Yeah, it's
they just want to rub elbows with Chauncey Billups and a couple of former NBA Finals MVPs that names won't go mention, and they get stuck $750,000 over the course of 3 days and a weekend, and they're like, you know what? I don't fish, I don't golf, I don't really do much, I work a lot, and God's been very fortunate or blessing worthy of me. He chose I get to do this job, and a lot of money happens to come with it. But I like to do this and have fun, and I don't care that I lost. And then you read all this, and you recognize somebody knew every pair of kings that you had coming. Oh, that's ridiculous. That's going to work on a brother right there. PTSD. It's but make the P poker.
Well, picture he shows up, he loses $500,000, he gets Chauncey to sign his kids as Air Jordans,
yeah, right.
And he's like, "Well, I guess it's for the experience."
Wow,
just completely taken.
Yeah, if I was a person who made millions of dollars a year and and I wanted to play Texas Hold'em in this thing, and I happened to know some people, and they invited me in, and. And I'm talking to you about it, saying, "Hey, we know Chauncey decently," and I'm just surprised. But in this 3-day series of games they have beginning in 2 weeks, Chauncey offered me his NBA Finals ring to come. At what? Yeah, he said I can have it. Okay, so why is he starting out minus $600,000 or whatever the ring costs, minus $250,000? Wow, he's super nice. I get to go to this house. There going to be some cool people there, rub elbows with people everybody knows with their names. But he's just so kind and generous. He gave me his NBA Finals ring. And then I went in there and lost $750,000 and I had a great time. Oh, wait, they cheated. That sucks.
Well, you know how they should have known the jig was up? Adrian Peterson was at the table and he was winning.
Come on. That's an unbelievably good line. Well done.
Hey, we got to pause. Final segment around the corner.
Let me land the plane here, then we can go to break. Is the reason I brought that up is because for some involved, that is the bottom. This will be defined as finding the bottom.
I agree.
I'm really hoping that's what happened to the Minnesota Vikings last night in the 2025 season. They identified what the bottom looks like for this bastard 2025. And whether you win or lose at Detroit, they're incrementally or in soaring fashion, it's up from here one way or another, because that just had some bottom feel to it last night.
I dig that, and we're going to put a bow on this show and turn the page into the weekend. Final segment next.